what's...
In the heart of Utah, there's a place that's full of strange mysteries. People say it's one of the weirdest spots on Earth. Skinwalker Ranch. It's in a remote area called the Uinta Basin, and it's famous for all sorts of weird things like flying saucers, strange lights, and even creatures that can change their shape. It's so famous that they've written books about it, and it's been on TV too. The story of Skinwalker Ranch goes way back. The land used to be home to the Ute tribe, but the name, Skinwalker, comes from a Navajo legend. In Navajo culture, skinwalkers are bad witches who can turn into animals or people. There's a story that says during a fight between the Utes and Navajo, the Navajo sent skinwalkers to haunt the Utes, and some say they're still there.
A skinwalker is essentially a witch that has chosen to put on the skin, essentially, or the form of what can only be described as a giant wolf. A skinwalker is something that exhibits superhuman agility and strength. Placing the skinwalker curse on this property made it a very real place to avoid.
Now, let's talk about the Shermans. In 1994, they bought the ranch, thinking it'd be a peaceful place to live. But their story is like something out of a scary movie.
When they arrived, it is said they found the home itself had been practically fortified, as if the Myers were expecting some kind of intrusion. The doors and windows had been bolted shut, with metal bars placed in the windows as well. There were also chains on each side of the house, which were assumed to have once been used to hold guard dogs. However, the Shermans chalked these unusual features up to the old couple just being a little bit eccentric.
One night, Terry Sherman saw a huge wolf in his yard. He shot at it, but the bullets didn't hurt it. When he chased the wolf, it disappeared into thin air. That was just the start of their spooky experiences. They saw strange lights in the sky, weird patterns in their fields, and their cattle had been dismembered. Unlike most horror movie families, the Shermans decided to leave the ranch in 1996, just 2 years after they bought it.
It was around this time that Sherman finally went public with what was happening. He spoke to Zach Van Eyck of the Deseret News, the second largest paper in Utah at the time. His story was printed on June 29, 1996. The information he gave the newspaper was limited, but it was enough information for the story to spread across the country. Though Terry was reluctant to potentially lose his privacy, he ultimately felt that drawing attention to his situation would deter whoever was responsible, or at least lead to answers. It would not stop the incidents.
They sold it to a millionaire Robert Bigelow, hoping to escape the strange happenings that filled their days and nights. Robert Bigelow loved things like UFOs and ghosts. Back in 1995, he even made a group called the National Institute for Discovery Science to study hauntings. Now, some people said, hey, maybe the old owners, the Shermans, made up stories to sell the ranch to a rich guy like Bigelow. It was a good theory, but the Shermans sold the place for just $200,000, which was a regular price for a house, not a big ranch. They weren't trying to get rich, they just wanted to get out of there as fast as they could. So, what did Bigelow and the National Institute for Discovery Science find? Well, if they found something huge, they kept it a secret. But here's what we do know, they saw weird creatures with spooky eyes and found cows that were dismembered, even though they were fine an hour before. Strangely, there wasn't even any blood around the cows.
A calf was discovered dismembered, with its organs, blood, and much of its body removed. The calf had been seen alive when it was tagged just 45 minutes prior. The injuries were seemingly made with professional instrumentation.
The National Institute for Discovery Science spent years and lots of money trying to find answers, but they didn't get much. Sometimes, their fancy equipment malfunctioned out of nowhere whenever something weird happened. In 2004, the National Institute for Discovery Science closed down, but they still own Skinwalker Ranch until 2016. Then, it passed to someone else, Brandon Fugal, who only revealed himself in 2020. He teamed up with the History Channel to make a show called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. They tried to use science to solve the mysteries. But, just like before, they got more questions than answers. Why did their gadgets break? Why did people get sick there? And why did the feeling of weirdness stick with them even when they left? The ranch had lots of strange tales, and people there believed they were real. It wasn't just Skinwalker Ranch, the whole area had reports of strange lights, giant flying things, and cows looking like they'd been hit by lightning. If you found this video interesting, then consider subscribing for more content like this.